I'm with Dr. Maynard Bauer, Superintendent of Bay Schools from 1974 to 1989, and a 2025 Distinguished Educator Hall of Fame inductee. So two dynamics you and I talked about that occurred really early in your tenure. One is that the teachers, for the first time, had collective bargaining capability.
Yes.
And you had to negotiate. Back to that whole law program you were talking about. But the other dynamic was the emergence of Title IX. So girls' sports all of a sudden became official and they had to be funded appropriately. So let's talk about those two things. So your first negotiation, you said, was very interesting.
Yes. We had a negotiation session with the staff members, but not their OEA representative who advised them in that area. And we got a feature in the contract and through negotiations that was really positive for the board's viewpoint. And after the next day, evidently they talked with their OEA rep and filled him in on what was going on, and he came in to see me the next morning and said, "Gee, we can't live with this. Can you take that out?" And so, in terms of particularly being the new superintendent there, I didn't want to start out on a bad foot with him. We took it out.
Well, that was a good faith gesture. That probably is why you were so well respected. But those people never struck. There was never a strike while you were superintendent. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm telling you, I said this in an earlier video. Their respect for you as a superintendent, which is sometimes it's antagonistic between the groups, was amazing.
Well, my successor was sort of the opposite from my thing, and he didn't last too long.
I didn't want to say that, but that's the comparison they've given on many occasions.
Yeah.
Yes, they said that was a disaster. So girls' sports. So it wasn't just girls' sports because, again, we had so many kids' classes that were almost 400, which now they're less than half of that. You had to fund all that. You had to find places for people to play, and you were adding boys' sports at the same time.
Yeah, and one of the things that change made a difference with declining enrollment. We had more and more sports added. And if you talk to the football coach or the basketball coach, they'd say I could have a much better thing. But my boy's in wrestling now, and he wrestled all year.
Yeah,
And,
yeah. You specialize
it made
more.
it tougher on the coaches to field the best team possible because there were so many, and they've continued to add groups, programs since then.
Yeah, I mean, when we were in high school, there were only a few of the basic sports. There was football and basketball, but soccer was just emerging, and wrestling was there. But there wasn't lacrosse, and there wasn't swimming, and swimming finally came. But we had twice as many kids. I know not that long ago, there were 73 kids that went out for 8th grade football team at Bay Middle School when I was there, and then when we moved into high school, they only had like 44 jerseys. That's what they said. So they didn't want to say we were cutting kids, but there were only 44 jerseys for us. It wasn't that long ago. I talked to the coach. He said there were 11 kids that came out for the freshman football team. So it really did change.
It went to other sports.
Yeah. And the class sizes came down. Was it a big dilemma for the district when sports were expanding to fund all that stuff?
We made it.
Yeah.
And traditionally, the way things would happen, the parents would, in some sports, would support getting the program started and say, "Well, we want you to make it an official sport."
Yeah.
And so there were several additions that way. And we sort of automatically built in some new programs for the girls, and they did as well as the boys in their activities.
I'll tell you something, they're dominant in some of the activities. Yeah, they came right out of the gate, the Bay girls did, in certain sports. So that's wonderful. Thank you.